Welcome back to another episode of Fast Casual Nation. I'm your host, Paul Barron, and you know it, you love it. We talk about the latest breaking news and really kind of the new shifts that are occurring in the fast casual marketplace. One of the big leaders that I think has kind of been a cornerstone of the market for quite some time is Shake Shack. And today we're going to have Andrew McCaughan on, who is their Chief Development Officer. Great to have you on, Andrew.
Hi, Paul. Happy to be here.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to jump into a few topics. Obviously, the fast casual segment has been one of the few segments that have been able to somewhat perform and in some cases actually do better, ironically, due to this pandemic and kind of the shift in their business models. A little bit about where currently Shake Shack is, how you guys have adapted under these new kind of new normal rules that we're dealing with.
Yeah, Paul. Thanks for having me on. It's been a massive undertaking these past several months, and kudos certainly to our teams and everyone who's been pivoting in this moment and just trying to operate as safely for our teams and guests as possible. I think the thing that happened with Shake Shack and for the company and the business in the spring and certainly through the summer was we just have amazingly entrepreneurial team members and folks who tried to figure out different ways of doing business. So we opened up pop-up drive-thrus and just flexed wherever we could. Our footprint's heavily urban in New York City where we started and many of our cities across the country. So that lent itself less to that flexibility, but we did lean into digital and we leaned into delivery hard. All things that we had been working on for the past several years took center stage.
All right, so digital. You guys were one of the kind of the first early movers on digital. It's it has come through to be a benefit. However, being such an urban brand, we're seeing now real numbers starting to come out of major cities like New York, Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago, et cetera, where we are seeing a shift in kind of the human patterns. People leaving, not coming back to work, working more remotely, which is really kind of shifting the dynamic of where the fast casual footprint used to be. You used to see a lot of urbanization of fast casual brands. What is Shake Shack's plan for the future here as the city makeup starts to change over the next few years?
We're absolutely keeping an eye on all those patterns and trends. I think as a New York brand and as New Yorkers, we fully believe the city will come back. It's going to take some time, but we believe as we can safely reopen our offices and other things will come back. So we're going to have a balanced approach. We always have to our real estate where certainly in our format strategy, which I know we'll talk about, but just our general real estate strategy has always been balanced between great high streets and urban centers and really phenomenal suburbs, regional malls. So we'll continue to be thoughtful and mindful, see where the trends go and take that balanced approach.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch base on the real estate side because there are some movements there. Back to digital for a second. What kind of things have you guys implemented or maybe do you have on the roadmap that you can talk about that is coming out in terms of tech implementation that can start to create either a better customer experience, but also maybe enable you guys to do a little bit more sales volume? What's it look like right now?
This is really where I think the crisis spurred a lot of innovation, honestly, in our business. The first pillars were just taking care of our teams and being safe. And then after that, we said, how do we capitalize? How do we figure out how to deliver our product to guests where they are and where they want to be and how they want to get it? So the investment, certainly in our app, first and foremost, with the development and launch of what we're calling Shack Track, which is everything from our Curbside Delivery, which we just launched in the app and is now active in over 50 Shake Shacks, where you can place your order. When you pull into the parking spot, you hit "I'm here," and the team will run it right out to you. We also are opening a series of walk-up windows in our urban centers, and we'll be launching a drive-up Shack Track digital order later this year as well.
Interesting. All right, so we're here in South Florida. You guys have quite a few footprints. I've been to many of your stores. I'll just use a couple as example. You've got Boca, which is more of a walk-in, doesn't have a drive-through application. Same thing with Fort Lauderdale over on Federal Highway. For those of people that know a little bit about South Florida, that's another one that is, it's a great cornerstone, but again, it's a walk-in restaurant, no drive-through. How are you adapting those? Are those mostly curbside? Is that what's happening there for those for pickup purposes?
Within the existing portfolio, most of those will be curbside,
Okay.
and hopefully people will adopt the app and we'll lean into curbside. And we're looking for opportunities for some retrofits along the way. But in terms of the drive up situations, most of those will be ground up new developments in our pipeline over the next couple of years.
Interesting. Okay. So no chance that you guys are going to become like a Sonic, where you're going to have maybe 15 spaces out there and people ordering shack burgers and all that kind of stuff out there. Because I see curbside kind of almost emulating that now in a lot of different operations. How is that going to kind of come together? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, never say never. I really think the digital technology and our guests who are adopting digital are is the future, and that's really where
Yeah.
we want to lean into to make sure that it's easy, it's accessible, it's user friendly in the app, and you plan it into your day, or if you just are driving by, we'll have some convenient options for you as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's get into real estate. There was some recent news here. Taco Bell, of course, is announcing that they're doing some newfangled models of drive-through slash curbside, some kiosk. But really, what it boils down to in the fast casual space is this could face or present an opportunity to a lot of operators to kind of reformat, somewhat hit the reset button. Around their restaurants and how they're interfacing with guests. I'm curious, when you look at unit economics and real estate, how are you guys looking at this for the future and how this might play into your strategy going forward?
I think you nailed it. The first is the guest lens. How can we ensure that our guests are getting the best of the Shake Shack experience, which first and foremost is high quality food and a premium experience that's elevated. So how do we ensure that happens at every touch point? Layer on the digital experience to drive some convenience and still build amazing community gathering places. I mean, people will
Right.
want to get together today and in the future. And I think our biggest trick and our biggest challenge is to do all three really, really well. And that's what our
Yeah.
teams have been working hard at.
Yeah. For sure. I want to throw these renderings back up that you guys sent us because I'm really curious, especially the one that is the multi-lane. What is kind of the plan there? Is there going to be some technology out there, or is this simply going to be a kind of a reserved parking spot that would enable someone to come in and use their app primarily? Is that how the interface would occur?
Yeah, we have some of these are blue sky and we're working towards them, but the concept of the rendering in this situation is that drive up window. So that's a pure
Okay.
order ahead on app or web. Pick your time slot and come. The food will be ready for you. We're also
Yeah.
going to launch drive-through next year for the first time, which is this image, which is
Yep.
really exciting for us. We always thought of ourselves as the modern version of the old roadside burger stand, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is taking it to that next level. But we want to do it in a Shake Shack way. We need to cook our food to order. It's going to be that elevated experience. We're not necessarily looking to have it to compete on speed, which is a lot of the fast food guys. We
Right.
want to compete on experience and still give you the quality.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's my question, because when I look at a Shake Shack, I mean, it's not that it takes a long time, an exorbitant amount of time to get your order on a normal. In the old days, when you used to walk up to a counter and actually talk to a human and order something, that wasn't a long time. It was 6, 7 minutes to the table. But in a drive-through, that's an eternity. So how will that apply? Is this going to be something where I place my order in the queue and then maybe I pull up into a parking zone and someone brings out my Shack burgers? Because obviously I couldn't sit there in the lineup, because you'd just not be able to get throughput done. Is that kind of the model how you guys are going to go move forward?
We're working on throughput. We believe in some of these drive-throughs that we can absolutely execute on getting you the food through the drive-through. That's certainly
Oh,
our
really?
intention,
Okay. Wow.
about getting orders in the queue earlier. Working with handheld tablets, having some other order modules that we can do, particularly at peak hour. So
Hmm.
we're working hard at that on a lot of our cross-functional teams through our kitchen design, leveraging technology in order to make sure that we're getting the food out in the right amount of time. But
Yeah.
it's again, we're not going to compete on speed. So the drive-through, much like standing in Madison Square Park back in the day, you might hang out
Right.
for a little bit, but we'll
Hmm.
hope to deliver on the experience and the hospitality and certainly the product.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Well, and I think the environment, for most people today, they're still. I mean, convenience is still a major, touch point. But for most part, people have kind of adapted to both curbside. I'm seeing it in full service dining restaurants who are, they've implemented curbside. People are seems to be a lot more patient. They're not quite as demanding as they were. I mean, if you go into even in a McDonald's, it's not like they're setting any kind of time records, because literally all of their business is now going through the drive-through. So they've just upped their drive-through business another 30 to 40%. So timelines are definitely being affected, and you kind of get that ripple effect across the whole thing. I can't wait to see some of the technology that really comes out to start really implementing this in terms of cooking technologies. Are you seeing anything like that for your restaurant side of it?
Certainly, when it comes down to kitchen display systems and back of house tech, our teams are really running after a lot of that to ensure that the process and our operating systems within the kitchens are as optimal as possible.
Right.
And then we're gonna look and it's always fun to think about the future, right? But there's certainly other avenues, whether it be voice or certainly contactless payments or other ways that we can make the tech drive the guest experience as opposed to the other way around.
Doing good is good for business. As the world's largest B Corp, Danone North America is committed to doing good for the world and for your business, with the brands customers love like International Delight, Oikos, Silk, Horizon Organic, and many others. Learn more at DanoneAwayFromHome.com.
All right, so I want to touch on, we talked a little bit about your growth plans, kind of the new model going forward of what could be coming to Shake Shacks near you. Let's talk a little about in terms of the existing network of Shake Shacks. How many of those would you say we'll see that will start retrofitting or dealing with different ways to basically service the customer? Is it system-wide, or are we going to see a few?
Yeah, so this year we're focused on a few. We're focused on tackling certainly these walk-up windows, these track walk-up windows, on some of those conversions and seeing how it goes. We're going to launch the tech in our app here soon, and then that initial conversion in Vernon Hills in Illinois for our drive-up window as well. But we haven't made any plans after that or made any announcements, but we're absolutely evaluating the whole portfolio. And we're watching curbside. As I said, it's out there. People are using it, and we're learning a lot from curbside right now.
Yeah, it's definitely the one I think that will probably win out the case, because in many cases, fast casuals that are existing in their current real estate positions, they don't necessarily have an end cap always, so it's very difficult to drop a drive-through in somewhere. Even if you have an end cap, sometimes you just can't manipulate the traffic flow to get through. So I think curbside is definitely the alternative to go in that direction. I'm kind of curious, have you guys done any data on, because this is a phenomenon I'm watching occur right now, of people ordering pre-arrival on curbside versus people ordering when they get curbside and then they actually go into the app and order right then. Have you guys done any kind of analysis on that? What's working or what people are doing?
We don't have specific data on that, but I think it's behavioral. I do think, the idea of on-premise digital generally, whether it be curbside or just ordering on your app when you're at the restaurant, I think there's a future of that, and I think there's certainly going to be a use case, but nothing specific as of yet. I still think there's a lot of folks who are certainly out there who intentionally are ordering ahead, getting to the parking spot, and then saying I'm here and getting their food.
Yeah,
But
because
we're going to watch it closely because I think the behavior is going to be very interesting in terms
yeah.
of how we design the restaurants, how many parking spots we may need. Hey, do you need a space for people to just hang out and order on their phone as opposed to wait for pickup? So I think it's something we really want to watch.
Yeah. Well, and I think your menu also kind of leans itself to almost on premise because of the fact, hey, listen, if I'm going to Shake Shack, I'm getting a shake, and I don't want that shake to be melted if I've called that in, 20 minutes beforehand and whatever happened on the way to the restaurant, whether it was bad traffic or some other scenarios. So I definitely feel like I almost would want to pull up in there, pop my order in, listen to some tunes, and then wait for my shack to come to the car, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, hanging out in the car these days is not a bad thing, right? It's a safe space for people. You got your own music, you got your own seat, you're comfortable. So I'm with you.
It brings back the old days for sure. All right, Andrew, let's talk a little bit about fast casual, this segment. A lot of players have shown pretty tremendous numbers during the COVID pandemic. Your thoughts on how this is going to sustain over time? Do you feel like fast casual as a segment is going to hold? It feels like the model was almost built for what we're in right now. What are your thoughts as we go forward in the next couple of years?
Well, I do think the model will hold. I think you're going to see a continued expansion of fast casual throughout the country. And I think you're going to see it still back in urban centers as people return to offices and to neighborhoods. But it's going to take a couple years, right? It's going to take some time. I think the question will be how quickly does your full service dining come back? When are people comfortable to come and dine at restaurants again, especially indoors in a meaningful way? But for us, I think we're well positioned. We have tons of patios, always part of our DNA. Patio dining will continue to be big, certainly takeout, to go, and vehicular. So I think you'll see demand for those kind of spaces, whether it be drive-ups, drive-throughs, or just great spaces that are outdoors.
Yeah. Any kind of new development for you? Last question. In terms of menu, because there have been a lot of discussions around the industry where some people are coiling back their menu a little bit, getting more centralized. You guys didn't have a huge menu to start with, but is there any plans for reshuffling or maybe introducing some other items into the menu?
Well, we're actually about to launch our hot chicken and heading into the fall, which is an awesome LTO we've done in the past. It's a huge fan favorite. So we're gonna ride that throughout the fall with hot chicken and chicken bites and fries. And then we're focused on veggie long term as well, and that's something that we're testing right now in the West Village in our innovation kitchen, as well as another shack in New Jersey, because we believe there's a big future in veggie. And it's going to be something we're looking at, regularly.
I got a chance to interview Randy, your CEO, a couple of times there in New York. One for a documentary on fast casual, and then one in one of your new flagship locations. It was just, I can't remember if it was on Madison Avenue or Fifth Avenue, but the point is that this was a huge store that had a lot of indoor dining. How will those units fare once, obviously now those are closed to take out only, but do you think those are going to hold their position and be able to move forward at the same kind of capacity, or are you looking at some shifts in those kind of scenarios?
Well, we'll keep following guidelines, through this time, certainly on capacity, but I think that's what the format strategy will also look into. For those kind of locations where in the future we may not need as much indoor dining, we'll look at shrinking our footprint and focusing more on that digital experience for folks. And then, we'll still also have those great neighborhood community gathering places where we'll want to have a great dining room coming out of this on the other side. So I think it's just another tool in our format strategy, in addition to all the innovation we're doing on those freestanding pad sites.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff. Andrew McCaughan, Chief Development Officer here at Shake Shack. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul. Take care.
All right. Excellent. All right. You guys, of course, are listening in over on the podcast. Maybe give us a rating. Also, we'd love to get your feedback. You can also drop a note there. And if you've got something that you'd like to share, maybe over here on Fast Casual Nation, you've got a great idea around a concept that's in your hometown, or maybe it's a technology or maybe a company that's doing something pretty amazing in this space that would help fast casual operators, shoot us an email to producer@foodabletv.com, and you can always hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll see you next time right here on Fast Casual Nation. And out.